be back out at Friendship and Bible. This morning, just thankful to see some that had been here in a while, be able to come back and be with us, and thankful to see our visitors, thankful for Miss Shelby and Brother Dakota coming to be with us, and been with them at Shady Grove, Brother Steve at Shady Grove this past week, and just enjoyed the week, and I'm thankful for the ones who came up to be with us, and it's a long drive, and so it really meant a lot to me, and I'm thankful for the prayers of the church here at Friendship. I definitely could feel them, and it's the whole time leading up to that revival, about get sick at work thinking about it, Brother James. I've never preached in any of their churches, went up there to visit with them and enjoyed doing that, but there's a difference between sitting in the service and preaching the service, and I'm just thankful that I have liberty up there, and just to grow to love them people more and more every time I go up there and be with them, because I realize that their spirit bears witness with my spirit, Brother Donnie, and that's just a blessing in itself. And I just thought about that song that Brother Jason sang, said the preachers are weary, the singers are tired, the church as we know it is losing its power, but it's not the Lord's fault that the churches are losing the power. It ain't the Lord's fault that the candlestick might be removed. It all falls back down on us. And it's our fault if that happens. It's nobody's fault but our own. And so we have to examine ourselves day after day and just get a good look in the mirror, as you might say, Brother Greg, and say, am I moving forward? Did I move forward any today, or did I just slide back a whole lot? And there's a lot of days that I examine myself, and I'm ashamed how I look at the end of the day. Didn't read my Bible much, didn't study much. There might not be much preaching. I might just try to do a little bit of encouragement. And my encouragement of you might think of it as me whooping on you. That's my way of encouraging, of trying to change. After I give Emery or Isla a whooping, I tell them, now I love you and I do this because I love you. And if you would do it different, you wouldn't get whoopings. And they always give me a hug back and say, Daddy, I love you. And so I hope, church, that y'all realize that I love you, and I just try to do my best to follow the leadership of the Lord, however He bids me to go. So we preached Friday night up there at Shady Grove on the straight and the narrow way. And then there's that other way, the broad and wide way. But we're going to be reading from 2 Peter chapter 2. And starting at verse 9, and our thoughts kind of flowing the same way as Friday night, but just a little bit more. The church, they got up and started testifying Friday night, and we just didn't have much that night. So our thought has just overflowed over to this morning. And so y'all pray for us just for a minute. In 2 Peter chapter 2, starting with verse 9, and we'll read the rest of the chapter. It said, the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of the uncleanness, and despise government, presumptuous are they, self-willed they are, not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not rarely accusations against them before the Lord. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and be destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to ride in the daytime, spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings, while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bothar, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass speaking with man's voice forbade the badness of the prophets. These are the wells without water, clouds that are carried with the tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through the much wantonness, those that were clean escape from them who live in error. Now y'all listen to these, verse 19 through verse 22. It said, while they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption, for of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought into bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. And I think about that verse over there, I can't remember where it was at. It said it was once delivered to them, Brother James. This gospel was once delivered to the church. He ain't got to deliver it again no more. It was once delivered to the church. And it said, but it has happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. And I guess in that verse 15, or no, it's in verse 14, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls. And it's the church's duty today, an obligation to establish souls in what we believe and what we are assured of, Brother James. And that starts before salvation in our children, to get them established on a foundation. Now the Lord, He does the establishing, and He plants their feet upon that solid foundation when He saves them. But we better get them rooted and grounded in the doctrine before they even get to the point of salvation. Because the devil, he's out there, and there's many false prophets among us. And you look at, and I'm sure there are some big churches that has great numbers, Brother James, that are still holding to the old past. So I'm not talking about numbers, but I'm talking about the ones that are false prophets that are deceiving my children and are deceiving your children. And they'll do it if we'll let them, Brother Jason. And they're unstable in all their ways because they don't have the Lord to lead them and guide them, because they have no salvation. But it's up to us as a church to get them rooted and grounded in what we believe. And we need to, in their 18 articles of faith, we need to get them rooted and grounded in the first one through the 9th one, and in 17 and 18 one. If you can't get them rooted and grounded in those right there, before they get to salvation, there will be somebody that comes along that'll tell them there's a different way that you can get to heaven. And there's more than one God. There's one more plan of salvation. He's not the true living God. There's not one word out there. There's many words that you can go by to get to heaven. So we better get them rooted and grounded in those things. And it takes more than Sunday morning preaching hour to get them rooted and grounded in those things. It takes more than the 30-minute Bible class that they have downstairs to get them rooted and grounded in those things. And we have many here today that Sunday morning service is the only time that they bring their kids out of church to try to get them rooted and grounded. And there's no doctrine taught at home, and there's not really much
been a popular message, but sometimes it takes a little sharing to get us where we need to be, Brother James. I'd rather be in a real spiritual service and everybody crying and shouting, but sometimes to get to that point, Brother Jason, you got to get back on the foundation of what we started upon. And what have you been building on that foundation this week? So many people build with the wood, hay, and stubble throughout the week, but when they come here on Sunday, they're expecting to receive that good blessing. That they think, well, I just did a little bit throughout the week. I built with a little bit of precious stones. I'm going to tell you, to receive a blessing on Sunday morning, we're going to have to do some preparing during the week. And I know I done said that during Sunday school, but there was some that wasn't here in Sunday school. Now we need to hear it again, Brother James. There's preparing it takes to get here on Sunday morning to have a good spiritual service. And if you don't want to prepare throughout the week, then don't expect a blessing on Sunday morning and wonder why the Lord didn't show up. Well, maybe He showed up to everybody else, but He didn't show up to you, Brother James, because you didn't prepare that week. And so if you prepared this week, I'm not preaching to you, I'm trying to encourage you. You just keep doing what you do, but if you didn't prepare, why don't we try to prepare a little bit this next week? That way, next Sunday, we may come in and see souls walk the aisle, Brother Jason, because until Zion gets in travail, sons and daughters won't be born. But I'm thankful that there's one set up on high that'll come and fight for Zion when she'll be willing to fight a little bit for herself. Preach that on Wednesday at Shady Grove. The Lord, He's come to fight for Zion, but will you fight for Zion? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Would I be willing to stay up with my kids a little bit? I know I'm busy and got so many things to do at home, but am I going to be willing to set the tender grapes down and have a little Bible study with them at home? Am I going to be willing to have a little prayer with them before bedtime? Am I going to be willing to get a hold of the hand of God with them at home? Or do I just want them to see Him on Sunday morning just like I do? We come with that mindset so many times. I just want to see Him on Sunday morning. I love when I get up on Monday morning, Uncle Donald, and I start heading to work, and I see Him on Monday morning before I get to work. Because if I don't see Him throughout the week, the devil, he gets on my flesh pretty good. And I'm like, I think it was Paul where he said, I don't know why I do the things that I ought not do. And it's because the old flesh, Brother James, the old flesh is weary and it's weak. But I'm glad that we have a comforter that we can take our cares to whenever we want to. I get weary and I get weak, and I'm supposed to stand up here before you Sunday after Sunday and try to encourage you. But yet I have to be encouraged myself so many times, Brother Donnie. So church, if you want to say a weak person, you're already looking at one. So if you think yourself is weak, I'm here to tell you, I'm the weakest of the whole bunch, and I need your prayers. I need to study more. I need to attend the house of the Lord more, because I'm such a weak and needy human being, Brother Donnie. But when we see ourselves as high and mighty and prideful about ourselves, we'll fall pretty soon. But it said the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation. He knows how to deliver our children out of temptation. In one way of that, Brother Jason, He gave us a good instruction book that provides you with all the answers of life that your children may come to you for. Because they'll come to you asking about, why does this little boy say he likes other little boys? Why does this little girl say she likes other little girls? They're coming to ask those questions, Brother Jason. And will you be able to pass the test when they come to ask you those questions? Will we pass the test? That Bible study that I go to in Sheffield, a man, his child's in 4th grade, and he said that there's a boy in his grade that likes little boys, Brother James. So the age is getting to the younger and younger and younger. You don't got to wait till high school to see drugs and alcohol involved in people's lives. You just start with the elementary school student, Brother Jason. I'm going to tell you, the children see more than we know. They see more and take on more than we know. And if you don't think they do, you just ask Cousin or Emery something. They'll be quick to spit something out that somebody said that day. And so you just, out of the mouth of babes, They'll tell you the truth every time, Brother James. And we just, us as adults, we just live our lives however we want to. Saying, well, it has effect on nobody. These precious children that we have here, the way that we live our lives, the way that throughout the week and the way that we come here on Sunday morning to worship, it has an effect on their life and it has an effect on their future. So if you don't want to get in here and sell out for the Lord and you just want to haphazardly do it, then just get out of the way and you just send them on to church to people that want to get in there and work for them. Do you want to work for their souls, or do you expect somebody else to work for them? The whole time I was out of the will of the Lord, Brother James, I was expecting somebody else to work for my lost friends and loved ones' soul. But there's a responsibility that I have as the same person that when I got saved, the Lord, He told me to be a follower of Him, Brother Donnie, and it was up to me to follow Him if I wanted to or not. And I didn't want to at times. I didn't want to a lot of times. Because I expected somebody else to follow Him. But one day the lot will fall your lot, children. One day, Jack, it'll fall your lot. And if Brother Hunter was here, one day it'll fall their lot. Y'all are the two right here, right now, that's saved. That's the younger teenagers and the younger kids. So y'all two have a great responsibility ahead of you. Miss Zoe, you got a great responsibility to you to be an example to these young children, to be an example to my girls, to be an example to Jason's girl. It is a great responsibility. And us as adults, if we expect the children to do it, we already expect ourselves to do it. So will we get a little bit of unction about us, or are we just going to keep sitting back there and keep going down the Broadway? And it said that over there, Jameson said, in his, he said, I rejoice greatly that I found of the children walking in the truth. And if we want to bless the Lord, then walk in His truths, walk in His commandments and His statutes, Brother James. It says, not as though I have wrote a new commandment unto thee. We had it from the very beginning. We had the word. We had the truth before the foundation of the world was created. He had it all set up, and the plan was done, set in motion, Brother Sandy. That way we may have a comforter and a guide to go throughout our life as to save. And it's up to us to be the guys that we need to be to our children. The footprints in the sand. I can't think of that man's name, but said he was plowing his garden up with a mule. And he said he's a drunk and just not a good guy. And he said he looked behind him, and there was his little son jumping from footstep to footstep in that old dirt mud of his footsteps. And he said, I fell right down there between the plow and asked the Lord to change my life and save me, because there was somebody falling up behind me in my footsteps. So if the children are following in your footsteps, would you be happy at what they're doing, or would you be changing your life? That man's wanted to change his life, Brother James. I'm glad I got to the point in my life that I wanted the Lord. He couldn't change his life on his own. And I got to the point I couldn't change my life on my own, Brother Donnie. But thanks God that He just brought me back into His grace through His mercy. And I've been in some good fellowship with Him since I've got things right, Brother James. I've got out of fellowship with Him, but I've been in more fellowship with Him the past 2 years than I have my whole saved life. And I'm here to tell you, those blessings these last 2 years far exceed the joy, peace, and happiness that I thought I had when I was out there living in the world. My goodness, I think about all those years that I've done all those things that just brought that temporary feel good. And I think about these last two and a half years. They fill my soul up far better, Brother Donnie. I'm still feasting off of them. It's something that never goes empty or never runs dry. But it said in verse 17, these are wells without water. The people, the false prophets in some of the churches, so-called churches here today, they're just wells without water. But I'm thankful that we got something to offer our children, Brother James. And it's not, we got wells of living water here in the church that's still flowing. Salvation's still flowing out from under the altar. The candlestick's still here. And like Miss Shelby and so many others said on Friday night at Sunny Grove, she said, church, you're precious to me because the candlestick is still here. And not many people have that. And we've had preachers come into friendship and told us in friendship that we have something special here. But yet we still have people that don't want I don't know why. Because let's look around our church house. Brother Donnie and Sister Gail are probably some of the older ones here, and they with us. And I'm not bashing them. I'm thankful the Lord's gave them a good long life. But there's older ones here. They're going to be going out one day, Brother James. And if we don't have people that'll move up and step in the gap and fill up the haze, then there's going to be a gap right there that the devil can get through. You think about all the older ones that have gone since I've been here. And thank goodness we've had some that's come in to be a help to us. And I pray that the Lord will guide them to where they need to be members at church, Brother James. Because the Lord, He'll guide where He'll have us to be a part of His church now. And it said clouds are carried, that wells without water. I think about those cisterns that hold no water in those cisterns. It takes a lot of work for them to dig out those cisterns. And there's people putting in a lot of work at those big churches, but yet there's nothing that will hold no water, Brother Donnie. But we got something, a wellspring of water that's flowing up to everlasting life here at Friendship. And we'll send you back with a water plant that don't have holes in it, and it'll be able to hold water. Because the Lord, He provides that new vessel for you. He provides you with something new that you can carry home and take with you Sunday to Sunday throughout the week and feast upon Him. And it said clouds are carried with a tempest. And I think over there when Elijah, the Lord, it hadn't rained in 3 years, and Elijah came out. And the Lord told him, go up there, and there'll be a little cloud the size of a man's hand. And be ready, because there's abundance of rain coming. But these clouds ain't like those sweet drops of rain that comes. That the Lord sends. These are clouds without water that just the winds and the tempest and all the bad weather comes with. They will seek and destroy your life. I think about old Job's children. They were in there partying, having a good time. But the great wind came and killed every single one of them. And you just let your children go any way they want to. And the devil will be out there, and he'll send wind their way. And it will destroy their lives, and they won't have anything left. You say that the devil can't get my children. I carry them to church on Sunday. I know we don't do much at home, but I carry them to church. I went to church my whole life, and my mom and daddy done everything that they could, and the devil, he held me bound out there in the world, Brother Jason. And I believe my daddy is one of the most godly men that there ever has been. So if he can get Keith Prince's sons, he can get your children too. And I hope your children have more power than I had to resist the devil. Because I was one of those that was going back while they found it. I was going back to the one that the Lord, He brought me out of bondage. Satan had me in bondage. But the same one, it said, while they promised them liberty, they themselves are servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome. Who we overcome? We overcome Satan when the Lord saved us. Of the same as He brought back into bondage. It is the same one that the Lord helped us over, that the Lord brought us out of, and that we overcome. He is the same one that brings the children of God back into bondage to where they can't bear help to nobody, not even their family, not even themselves. That's the same one that will get you back into bondage. The same one that got me back into bondage. Satan hasn't changed, Brother James. The Lord hasn't changed. And Satan hasn't changed either. He's still trying to devour your kids' souls, and he's still trying to devour my kids' souls. So Satan hadn't never changed, but we got a high tower, Brother Jason, that we can send them to in a time of trouble. One that they can run to. That'll come down and fight for them, and He'll give them the victory every time. And over here it says, I think the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. He knows how to do that too. And like Brother James says, you just look at people's lives and they think they have it all together, that are lost. And why is that? Because this is the only heaven that they'll ever know, Brother James. This is the only good life that they'll ever know in the Lord. He tries to get their attention, but yet they're just blinding us to the fact of what the Lord can do. And it said that they speak evil of the things that they don't understand, that they understand not. There's so many people out there that are speaking evil of the Lord, Brother Jason, and saying that He's not real and He's not able to deliver. But if they knew what came to me at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church that morning, they would know that the to deliver, because he delivered me, and he can deliver you. And it said, and they shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of their unrighteousness. Now that's a reward that you don't want. We all want rewards. Every single one of us, we love rewards and we love presents. But that reward that the Lord is going to reward the wicked with for their unrighteousness, that's the reward, Brother James. Do you want weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth for your kids and for your lost friends and loved ones? I don't. I want them to enjoy the splendors of heaven. So if we don't get an auction about ourselves and get back down to business with God and be willing to fight for Zion, because the Lord, he'll rob the victory if we'll just battle for a little while. But we got to be willing to. And it said, for if after they, in verse 20, for if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they are again entangled therein, and overcome, the latter is worse with them than the beginning. And it said, for it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. It'd be better, Brother Jason, if we had known the way to go and just forsook it, like old Nimitz. He said he loved this present world more than God. And we got so many people by that today. They'll go on vacation after vacation. They'll go to ball game after ball game. And they'll miss for this and they'll miss for that. They love this present world. It says adultery. They love adultery. That's not just cheating on your spouse. That's talking about loving the world more than God, Brother Jason. And we got a bunch of adulterous saved people in our churches today. Love this present world more than things of God. And if they love God more than things of this world, we'd be here when we could be. And it said, but it happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow was washed to her wallow in the mire. There's going to come a time when the Lord, us as a saved, but I'm talking about us as a saved, where he'll say, you like that? You like the sin that you was a part of before I saved you? And I brought you out of that old mire, I brought you out of that old pit, and that old filth and nastiness, and you love it more than me, and you just go ahead and go back onto it. But there's a payday coming for you. And there's a payday for me living in sin. I lost a lot. I lost a child. I about lost my wife. I could have got killed when I got hit by that mini-X bucket. So I'm here to tell you there's a payday coming for the children of God. And God will get us the one that saved them and saved them from hell. And you might say, well, it ain't going to happen to me. I thought the same thing, but it kept on happening. So there's a payday coming. So get our eyes opened up before our children end up in the devil's clutches, Brother James. Before the devil comes back and devours them. There's people here today that they can't be. Daddy, he gave a good talk to me and Brother Preston on the way to the funeral home yesterday. He said, now boys, he said, I believe y'all are grounded in doctrine. So the devil's not going to try to get you on that. He said, but he will try any other way to get you to move, to get you to be disqualified for what you're doing. We need to get them established in doctrine that the church has. And we need to get them established in things that we don't want them to go through in the world too, Brother Jason. You may say, well, I'll talk to him when the time comes. The time is now. The time is now to start teaching them and tell them about things. Whenever Ingrid's laying down, I try to tell her, do you want to go to heaven? Well, the way you don't go to heaven, do you want to go to heaven? Well, the way you go to heaven is through Jesus. Do you want to go to hell? Well, the way not to go to hell is through Jesus, Brother Jason. Just little things like that. Those are the things that they'll remember their whole life and what will bring them to salvation. The Lord, he does the drawing. We better do some teaching. We better be doing some getting ready. Some planting and watering around our churches. So many people expecting other people to do the planting and watering. And I try to do my best because I'm the under shepherd of the church. I have a responsibility here. And I want to fulfill my responsibility. If you ever think I'm lacking, vote me out. And there will be no hard feelings. Because if you think I'm lacking, then I must be lacking. And I need to be moving up a little bit closer to God. So if I'm away from God, ones. I want to fight for our backsliding in our churches. I want to fight for us all. And he talks about Balaam. Old Balak, he said the children of Israel were great, and Balaam, he could put a curse on people and stuff like that. And old Balak, he said, Balaam, here's you some money. I want you to put a curse on the children of Israel. And God, he told him, no, Balaam, don't do that. Don't do that. But old Balaam, he started looking after that gift that he was going to get from the world. The devil, he'll offer you. He'll say, well, look what I got out here. It's great, and it's good, and it's wonderful. But once you get out there, Brother Jason, what does it bring? You figure out pretty quick that it's not cut out how the devil, if you want a good lying salesman, you just listen to the devil and do what he wants you to do. He's the best lying salesman there is. And he'll sell you on a lot of stuff. But once you get out there, you'll realize pretty quick, he don't even deserve a star under the review. But the Lord, he offers the best. He offered the best. Jesus was with him in eternity past. Before this whole thing was ever created, the Father and the Son was together. And he said, son, one day you're going to have to go down there and die for them because they can't do it. They can't do it on their own. And he said, I'll go. Yeah, that's what Jesus done for us. Now, the Father, he didn't tell him he told him he had to go, but Jesus was willing to go. Just think if Jesus wouldn't have been willing to go. If he wouldn't have been willing to give up that throne. If he wouldn't have been willing to give up all his glory. To come down here and walk among sinful men. And carry all their sins on his shoulders. Not just the sin of the people that was living in that day. The sins of... If he had to carry the sins of the ones that was before him, Brother Donnie, and he had to carry the sins of the ones after him, then the ones before him would have no hope, and the ones after him would have no hope. The ones that looked forward to him coming, Brother Sammy, they would have no hope if he would have called it off. They'd be in hell today. But yet, because Jesus purposed in his heart that he was going to go all the way for me and you, we have a hope. And sinner friend, you have a hope. That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful feeling right there. That when I was lost, I knew I had a hope. But when that hope was offered to me, I had to come. Are we just going to keep going the way we're going? Just top watering around, as Brother JC says it? Or are we going to be willing to get out there and fight for our children? Fight for our friends and loved ones. We ask prayer requests for people, but yet we don't want to sell out for God. We ask the Lord to bless us with it, but yet we don't want to sell out for God. And maybe people ask those prayer requests because they know that they can't get the prayer through. So keep asking that prayer request. That way some people, they can get a hold of the hand of God and can pray that prayer on your behalf. I was in that shape. Goodness, I had lost friends and loved ones coming to the altar, and I couldn't even pray for them. So I'd go down there with them, but I might as well sit at the bench, Brother James. So I couldn't get no prayer through to God. I had to pray for myself before I could even pray for them. And you may think you can get a hold of the hand of God by living the way you're doing. You can't. There's just somebody fooling you saying, yeah, you're getting in touch with me. That's just the devil. If you can miss Sunday after Sunday and not do anything throughout the week for him, and you still think you can get a prayer through, you can't. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings, but you can't. So we need to move up a little bit. Come on, Brother Jason. I'm talking to myself, church. I'm talking to you and I'm talking to me. We all need to do better. So what are we going to do with it as we stand?
375.